Joy Taylor in for Colin Cowherd. Oh, this week as he is on vacation. Alex Curry is joining me. Let's go out to Yaron Weitzman, NBA writer for Fox Sports, author of a perfectly named book, Tanking to the Top, the Philadelphia 76ers and the most audacious process in the history of professional sports. And so we've covered the NBA for a long time, and we are now in the second best time. The best time is obviously the NBA postseason, and then NBA free agency, and then NBA regular season, in my opinion. But there's so much going on right now. You have Kyrie, you have Russell Westbrook, you have John Wall. So there's a lot to break down. We got some news on Kyrie Irving yesterday with a very philosophical quote, which I still don't understand, but he is staying with the Nets. And that's what I thought was going to happen and what was also the best case scenario for everyone involved. But what do you think about Kyrie staying with the Nets?
Wait, first of all, you don't understand how taking the $30 million on the table is a sign, not a sign of leadership or being different. I don't get how that confuses you. I'm surprised. What was the question? Sorry. What was the question? What does this mean?
Yeah. What does this mean for the Nets that he's staying? Is this the best case scenario for them?
Yeah, probably. I think this means is he could still be traded. It's important to know that, right? He could still be traded, though that would probably have to be something with the Lakers and Russell Westbrook, which means you probably need a third team to get involved to take Westbrook and send assets around. And the Lakers don't really have anything else to attach to Westbrook to entice another team. So all that being said, I think we're going to see Kyrie probably on the Nets. And yeah, if you're the Nets, you're basically going to run this back one more year and you assume, okay, let's just get to the start of the season. Let's just get to the games. And maybe if we have this theoretical lineup of KD and Kyrie, and I know your favorite Ben Simmons, Joe Harris, Seth Curry, you have all these guys together, okay, they can run off 19 wins in the first 22 games and everything can seem great. So basically one more year and then we see what happens.
Where does Kyrie stand for you right now? Because the way that I look at Kyrie Irving is that he's an obviously incredibly talented player when he's on the court. And anytime you have to say when he's available or when he plays next to a player, I think it affects their legacy, particularly if it's something that you feel like is in their control, like they don't take care of their body. Or in Kyrie's case, they just choose to only play in 29 regular season games and 4 postseason games because, of course, they were the only team to be swept in this year's playoffs after being favored to win the championship at the beginning of the year. So to me, he can be a key piece in a championship team, but not as a player that you have to rely on night in and night out. And that's just where I see him right now. Where is Kyrie for you?
I think what you said is perfect. I mean, listen, when he's on the court, there are, I don't know how many players, a handful who are better at generating offense and creating a shot. He's fantastic. And he's testing the limit of the idea that, teams and NBA teams and a star-driven league where one player can affect everything. He is testing the limit of, they'll put up with anything if the guy's talented enough, right? He might be one of the first guys that we're seeing teams say, because that's part of the important part here, that I think it's a good chance that if there were other teams out there who were interested in his services and if there was a market out there for him, I'm not sure he'd be a Net today, right? Or I'm not sure he'd be opting in. Let's also wait till the paperwork's official with Kyrie, right? I like to wait till the paperwork comes through before I assume anything. So yeah, with that, but he's an all-time great. I should say all-time great. In terms of his skills, he's all-time great. And when he's on the court, he's fantastic. And that Game 7 shot is one of the greatest shots in NBA history. Mm-hmm. And a playoff series, you need guys who can generate offense one-on-one, and he's as good as anyone is at that in the league.
What's the latest with James Harden and the Sixers? Obviously, he had some moments throughout the regular season, but was just awful in the postseason. So where is he right now with the Sixers?
Yeah, James Harden has a player option also, the same timeline as Kyrie, just we have forgotten about everyone else that exists in the NBA because of Kyrie. So he has to pick that up, or not has to pick that up. He has the deadlines tomorrow to announce what he's going to do with that. And what him and the Sixers are doing basically are deciding how best to come about a contract. That could be with him opting in and tacking on a couple more years. It could be him opting out and the Sixers adding a year on later as kind of a trade-off. I think basically everyone around the NBA would be completely stunned if he wasn't on the Sixers next season. It's not even something you're hearing, fourth-handed rumors about. He'll be on the Sixers next year. He could also just pick up the player option and they could work on the contract later. So he would lose some of his leverage. So yeah, I expect him back with the Sixers. And with the two of them, him and Embiid, they're really good. Like you said, Harden was not great last season, especially in the playoffs. Some of his comments are not great, like when he blames the defense is interesting. When he blames spacing, when he talked about after the Game 6 loss to Miami, that he never got the ball back because they ran the offense and he just wasn't part of it. That was a little strange. The other way around it, though, is like him and Embiid, when they're together, statistically, they're the best pick and roll combination. And I think the number was like plus 20 for 100 possessions, the two of them on the floor in the regular season. So they're really, really good. And Daryl Morey now gets another offseason to properly build a team around those two.
You know, I'm drinking the Clippers Kool-Aid because of this John Wall move. Don't blame me. I just need to spice up my summer. And but I do think, similar to the Kyrie situation, I think John Wall, he's only played in 40 games in the last 3 seasons, but he's going to a place where they don't necessarily need him. This is a luxury. You have Kawhi Leonard and Paul George, assuming, of course, that they're healthy and available to play. I actually think this is an easy win for the Clippers to add John Wall.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know if he's a huge difference maker, but why not, right? He's a really good passer. I think that's one of the things that's underrated with John Wall, his ability to pass and his overall skill level as a facilitator. And it's something the Clippers could use, somebody who can sort of create a little bit and touch the paint. And they have a lot of guys who like to take mid-range jumpers. John Wall can help that. If you kind of think of their offense, similar to a role that Marcus Smart ran, if you think of like Paul George and Kawhi as the Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum roles, and you have a different sort of point guard who can make things a little easier for them, do some of the handling. Reggie Jackson's fantastic, though. Or I shouldn't say fantastic. Reggie Jackson's a really solid point guard, and him and John Wall are going to split minutes. So I'm with you. I love the Clippers. I don't know that the addition of John Wall makes a huge difference in my mind in terms of where I view them, and that I already view them as a championship contender, but he should certainly help, and it's a free swing, so why not take a shot?
What team do you expect to be most active in free agency, or what move are you kind of expecting? That obviously, as you mentioned, we've forgotten the rest of the NBA exists because of Kyrie, but there are a lot of other trades that are possibly coming, and what do you expect to see?
The few ones, the Atlanta Hawks are apparently really active in terms of what they're trying to do, and we know Travis Schlenker, I think he's the president of basketball operations now because basketball titles are weird and GMs don't exist anymore. He's been really active recently in terms of trying to build a proper team around Trae Young. There's rumors about John Collins being shopped or traded. Dejounte Murray, someone they've talked their reports on that the Hawks have discussed acquiring him from the Spurs. What that looks like, I'll be interested to see. In terms of Trae Young, also, it's somebody who, like, the Hawks took a step back last year, so I'd like to see where they go. That's the main one I'm trying to monitor. The otherwise, and see what happens with the Nets here, and also the Knicks. Always look at the Knicks, and kind of curious that they're clearing all this cap space to go get Jalen Brunson, which is an interesting move for sure.
The Knicks. I honestly, I respect Knicks fans as a lifestyle. It's an interesting choice because I guess I'm a Dolphins fan, so I can relate to just inexplicable moves every year in and year out. Thank you so much for joining us, Yaron Weitzman. Make sure you follow his stuff on social media and check out his book, Tanking to the Top, the Philadelphia 76ers, the most audacious process in the history of professional sports. I'd love to talk to you about that one day because the process was one of my favorites. NBA writer for Fox Sports. Thanks so much for joining us, Yaron.
Thanks, Joy.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.